Good morning, all. I'm Luke. I'm part of the sales team here at Crimson. I've been here for just over 6 years now. As an account manager, sales can be a bit of a strange title sometimes to some, but as an account manager, I suppose I'm the responsible go-to person for my customers. I look after a subset of clients, and I'm their go-to person, whether it's good news they're giving me, bad news, or indifferent. And obviously, as a responsibility, I turn that around into happy clients at the end of it. So a bit of an overview of Crimson then. So we were established back in 2001. It was actually established as a solely specialist IT recruitment and skills organisation, and it's, I suppose, evolved from there of where we were originally established from. Founding directors, so there was 3 founding directors of Crimson, and Rob Malaban still holding the foot as sort of senior MD at Crimson, but now reporting into our group. So we were acquired by Harvey Nash Group back in 2017, October 2017, and we're now formally part of the Harvey Nash Group. I suppose not a lot has changed in a good way, because we were a very good organisation prior to that, very family feel organisation, and the culture hasn't changed a great deal, but the growth in Crimson has, and the investment levels that Harvey Nash have been able to bring to Crimson and their existing culture that we had already has meant that we've been able to grow and expand who we are as an organisation. So revenues have grown year on year, and very profitable organisation. How we are broken down is namely across a number of different services that we provide back to our customers. So yes, we're a specialist IT consultancy, an organisation specifically around Microsoft solutions. We aligned ourselves to the Microsoft technology stack in 2004, and we've been quite prudent to make sure that we don't evolve beyond that. We've kept to our core skill set, and we've been quite careful not to digress beyond that. That's broken down further into resourcing services, cloud services, managed services, and specialist IT consultancy. We'd like to, obviously everything's remote at the moment, but we'd like to get involved with our customers, trying to support them as best as possible. Our annual innovation conference is an example of that, where we host and I suppose give an overview of some of the lessons and some of what's new in the industry. I'm good to jump to the next one. Cool. So as I mentioned previously, we established back in 2001, but really we became aligned to the Microsoft technology stack in 2004. We began to align ourselves to this stack. We saw it as an evolving stack, but have really planted ourselves quite firmly into this as a technology stack, both across Microsoft Office 365, Dynamics, Azure, and all of the integration services that are offered around that. Where we are today, we're still very aligned to that technology stack, and we partner so we have not digressed beyond it, but we partner with organisations to get specialist expertise if and when required, in partnership across that stack. And then I suppose our customers that we look after, so almost 2 or 3 years ago now, Crimson began to align more strategically and more vertically led across our customers, and the four strategic verticals that we identified, we worked in partnership, our marketing team, our sales team, consultancy team, worked in partnership with Microsoft to best align ourselves to the specific sectors, and we did this for a reason, so that we can begin to learn and understand the objectives within these sectors, but also begin to learn the understanding of sort of keywords they're using, key systems they're using, key issues they're facing, and really help to specialize our services to help meet those objectives. So where we are today, we've aligned ourselves to 4 specific verticals of higher education, home builder, housing associations, and local government. And these really are taking off quite steeply, and investment levels are growing to make sure we're strategically aligned to these. I suppose it doesn't look away from all the other verticals that we do look after, and there is quite a broad brush of different verticals that's typically grown through reference over the years, but there's a number of key organisations that we do deal with across all of the strategic verticals, including RS, Enterprise, Rent-A-Car, Next, VW, a number of big brands that you'll all recognise. So where we are today in helping our customers, we lead with Microsoft Dynamics 365 into those strategic verticals, but our other services help complement any of those project engagements, whether it's Office 365 integration requirements through the Microsoft stack, Azure requirements through infrastructure, and as I say, Office 365 for the modern workplace. And that's all from me, unless there's any questions at all.
Thanks, Luke. Shall I pick this up now?
Yep, I think we're good to run. Cheers.
Excellent. Thanks, Emily. So my name is Martin Stilgoe. I'm a Director of Digital Native, and we're really proud to say we're Crimson's appointed training provider. And we've been working with Crimson for about 5 years now. So what I'm looking to do this morning is I'm going to probably waltz fairly quickly through an overview of Digital Native and hopefully spend a little bit more time talking about, I think, how you can probably maximise your opportunities of joining the Academy, because I'm guessing that's probably why you've all given up your Friday mornings this morning. So the things I'd like you to take from this particular slide are that we're a tech apprenticeship provider. We purely work in tech. That's where our passion lies. We love placing fantastic people with companies like Crimson and just seeing their careers progress. And you're going to hear from people like Archie later on their experience. It's fantastic to see how much they've achieved in just a couple of years. So just to back that up, here's the apprenticeship programs that we offer. And a good number of these will be on offer through the Academy this particular year. I'm sure Kat will probably pick up on this later, but one of the focuses is going to be around the data analyst program that we run. There's also opportunities for those people that love to code, for software developers, and business analysts as well, which is a really fantastic apprenticeship. But as you can see, we offer a fairly tight-knit range of apprenticeships. So I guess the first thing I'd really like to spend a bit of time on is what is an apprenticeship? So I guess the obvious thing is it's a job. But most importantly, it's a job with a structured development program. And again, Kat's going to take you through that structured development program later, and you'll hopefully see the synergy between Crimson and Digital Native in the way that we've put this together. So any apprenticeship has what's called knowledge modules. And a knowledge module is simply a breakdown of a curriculum area. And you usually have to achieve between 1 and 5 knowledge modules, depending on the apprenticeship that you take. You also have to create a portfolio, and I know all our current apprentices on board will tell you how much they love the portfolio. And this is a really big piece of work. And the portfolio is where you evidence that on 4 or 5 occasions, you've met the requirements of the apprenticeship standard. And it can seem quite an onerous piece of work, but it's really important to remember that a level 4 apprenticeship is equivalent to the first year of university. So if you think about how much work you would be doing on your probably 6 assignments that you complete at university, it's an equivalent volume of work. The next part is something where you need to be really nice to Kat and make certain that she likes you, because towards the end of your project, you need to get something called an employer testimony. And the employer testimony is designed to back up your portfolio. And this is where the employer talks about all the fabulous things that you've done over your apprenticeship, how well you've done it, and most importantly, how in their view you're occupationally competent, i.e. you can do that particular job. So it's really important that you're making certain that key people at Crimson are seeing just how well you're doing. Once we have those 3 things in place, we enter something called Endpoint Assessment. And at that point, the first thing you do is you complete a synoptic project. Now, our synoptic projects are set by the British Computer Society, and they are our endpoint assessment organisation. So again, a point that I'll labour a little bit, but I'd really like you to take from this morning is apprenticeships are externally scrutinised. The work that you do isn't marked by Crimson, it isn't marked by Digital Native, it goes to the British Computer Society, and one of their assessors actually deems whether you are competent or not, and they also grade the apprenticeship. Once you've completed your synoptic project, you then have what's called an endpoint assessment interview. That lasts for about an hour and a half. So again, it's a very rigorous process. And somebody from the British Computer Society is really just double checking everything in your portfolio, talking to you about your synoptic project, and importantly, seeing if there's anything else they should really be taking into consideration. The final bullet point is really important, and I think this is hopefully why we're all on the call this morning. It's really the start of your tech career. And I really believe that starting that journey with Crimson is just a fantastic place to be, and you'll see some of the opportunities as we work through. So I guess one of the things that I'd also like to bring to your attention is why should you look at Crimson as an apprenticeship programme? It's got a proven track record. Kat's designed the academy so people can move seamlessly from getting their first role in tech into joining consultancy delivery teams. Now that's a challenge. So you're going typically from being a school, college, university leaver, or even second jobber looking to cross train. And in 18 months, you're going to go from probably having not too much of an idea what tech consultancy is all about to actually joining full-time a consultancy team within Crimson. The other thing that I think it's really important is the academy is really strategically important to Crimson. Luke mentioned that Crimson are now in a 3-year business plan to scale the business and do even more fantastic things for their clients. And the academy really came out of how do we do this? How do we attract good people into Crimson? How do we help them to grow internally? I think the other thing for me is a lot of organisations do have apprenticeship programmes, but I think there's been an awful lot of care and attention gone into the design of the academy. And the academy genuinely offers so much more than a standard apprenticeship programme. You're going to be asked to read books. I know that may be a challenge for some people here. We're going to hopefully challenge your thinking. We're going to show you different ways of working, and you're going to meet great people along the way. And that's all part of that academy programme. Perhaps the most important bullet point on this particular slide is about developing good people. And what I really want you to start thinking about is this is about developing you. So you're not here for Crimson, you're not here for Digital Native, you're here for you. And what I see in our apprentices, and you're going to meet 4 fantastic people later, are really people that have seized that opportunity and are going to use it to forge their future. A really great aspect to the programme is the opportunity to progress onto a degree apprenticeship programme. So again, anybody on the call that's looking to gain a degree who hasn't or may have a degree but not a tech degree, This is a fantastic route where you can become a graduate with a full BSc, have no student loan, but most importantly, have 3-4 years really great consultancy experience behind you. And that's going to make you incredibly valuable to Crimson. So what this slide is about is I want you to start to think about both how you can maximize this particular opportunity as we move forwards. So for those people that are successful, one of the key traits of people that do well within the academy is you're open-minded. One of the things that I really enjoy is Kat has a reading club and you're asked to read a book about every month. And that's going to change how you think, hopefully. It's going to challenge some of your norms. We're going to talk to you about how you learn. We're going to talk to you about how you retain information, how you interact with other people. And I think those individuals that are open-minded can really pick and choose the person they want to be, I guess. The other thing is, I think really it's about an attention to detail thing. Again, the 4 people you're going to meet later, take time to understand problems. If we think about tech consultancy, those jobs are merely about solving business problems. Some business problems are relatively small. Some of the business problems that Crimson solve are mind-blowing, and they have some huge projects and problems they're working on. But taking the time to really understand what a problem is will really help you in this area. A key thing for me, and I know certainly a lot of the work that Kat does in the academy, is asking you to reflect. Even where we've done things fantastically, rather than going away and opening a bottle of fizzy water and going, we've done really well, let's think about why we did something well. If something hasn't gone so well, how can we learn this? The commercial director, Eddie, who unfortunately isn't on the call this morning, has a great phrase which has stuck for me from, I think, one of the first times I met Eddie, which is Crimson philosophy is we look back to learn and not to blame. And I think that's a lovely phrase, which I think really sums up what Crimson are about. The other thing you can do is to try new ways of working. There's going to be technologies you're going to come in, interact with. There's going to be different ways we're going to ask you to think and solve problems. And I think all of those will mean you'll get the most from the academy. I think skipping on to the final bullet point, as I said, this is about your future. I think apprentices, both with Crimson and across the board, the one thing I see with the apprentices that do really, really well is they're not working for the man. They're not working for Crimson. They're not trying to keep Kat. They're not trying to keep me happy. They're there for themselves. And I think if you remember that each day when you get up and you go to work at Crimson, you're there to create your future. You'll really maximise that opportunity. Thanks, Emily.
Thanks, Martin. Good morning, everyone. It's great to see you on the call. So I'm Kat Halstead. I work really closely with Martin from Digital Native. And a point to note is why I think we've been so successful with our program is because we've got this shared view of what success looks like. So for us, it is about success of the individuals. It's not about creating, tech experts. Is about creating successful, happy, rounded professionals, and that's really, really important to us. And that was really at the core of the program. So as Martin said, this degree apprenticeship is at the heart of our strategic growth plan. We started with a business problem, which was how can we grow, how can we recruit Microsoft consultants in light of the digital skills gap. We have been hiring people, but we also identified that we wanted to grow our own talent. And so we've leveraged the government apprenticeship scheme to do that. So I'm going to take you through an overview of the programme to give you an idea of what it would look like should you be successful. I'm also going to introduce you to 4 of our apprentices, as Emily and Martin have already referenced. Archie, who joined us in 2019, and Lauren, Jack and Sabrina, who joined us last year. And hopefully they'll give you an insight into the truth of what it's like to be an apprentice with Crimson, and not just the schmooze that we like to put out there. Hopefully they're very well aligned, but we'll see. So why would you come and join Crimson to do an apprenticeship? Well, last year we won quite a few awards. We'd only been sort of running for about 18 months in terms of the new programme. We'd dabbled with apprentices before then, but in terms of our formal programme, we applied for some awards and we were successful. So we won Best medium-sized employer of the year for Birmingham Live. We also won the regional apprenticeship SME of the year for the National Apprenticeship Awards, and we also very proudly won Highly Commended, which is kind of a runner-up to the overall best SME of the year for last year. And that's 1 year into our programme. And one thing I'd say is we continually look to improve. Again, I think this is why the partnership with Digital Native works really well. It's because we are very aligned in terms of not just accepting the status quo, we're constantly trying to improve upon last year's programme. And we look to do that through asking our current apprentices, asking year 2 apprentices, how can we improve it, asking people in the business, and looking at their best practice out there within other organisations as well. So why would you join us? Why would you want to do an apprenticeship with us? Well, first of all, it's you're earning while you're learning. So we've got quite a competitive salary, 18,000 for school leavers, 22,000 for career changers or those with a degree already. I understand that's slightly challenging if you've already started a career, and it does take a huge amount of courage sometimes to take a step back, take a step down. We've got apprentices this year who are in their late 30s that have had an established career elsewhere. They might have been a recruitment consultant, they might have been a basketball coach, they might have been someone in public sector, but they've decided, for whatever reason, their career's not where they want to be. Maybe they're just really unhappy and always wanted a tech career. And they've sort of taken that, a large dose of growth mindset to take a step back to plan for the future. After you've successfully completed the level 4 apprenticeship, you would then be offered a permanent role with Crimson, and you'd immediately get a 4K increase, salary increase. And thereafter that, the salary increases are on an annual basis and bringing you in line to the sort of market benchmark for your competence, for your qualifications, and sort of levelling you out with the rest of the organisation. All of our fees are fully funded. So not only if you choose to go on to do the degree, it's not compulsory. If you choose to do the degree, that will be fully funded as well. And all of the Microsoft exams and the other exams that you take throughout the programme are also fully funded. So unlike if you went to university, you come out with about the 60 grand debt if you're lucky. You're not only going to get a salary, but you won't have a debt at the end of it as well. So it's almost a no-brainer. For those on the call that are leaving school and thinking about, should I go to university or not? Well, it depends what your drivers are. There's always a place for university, but if you're looking for hands-on learning and you don't want a big debt, then this is a great place to do it. And I can't emphasize enough, if you're successful in the apprenticeship, we want to offer positions. This is not just an apprenticeship program and then we say goodbye. We're looking to grow our organisation, and because we're growing quite strongly, there are opportunities across the business. So what we are looking to do with last year's cohort now is start to understand where their strengths are, where their passions are, so that we can start to position them in the area of the business where they are not only going to be happy and be able to add value, but add value to the organisation as well. With hands-on learning as an apprenticeship, we are committed to giving you the time to learn and study. Our current cohort are just about to start having every Monday committed to study time. So some of that time will be digital native, some of it will be free learning, free study, time for them to write up their portfolios, etc., and do some other studying perhaps for their exams as well. Unlike many apprenticeship programs as well, we look to put our apprentices on real projects from, I think it works out about week 7, week 8. We will assign you to a live project, working within a project team. And the idea for that is you're not accountable for anything, obviously, early on, but the idea is that by learning, by sort of working alongside, qualified senior consultants, project managers, leads, architects, you're going to absorb a lot of learning from that. And we'll hear later from the apprentices how they found that time. And then as your competence develops, you'll start taking on more accountability through the project, with an idea that 6 months in, you'll be 50% billable. What does that mean? Well, that means over the 4 days that you are working on live client projects, 2 of those days will effectively be billed to the client. for the value of the work that you're doing. So whether it's as software testing, whether it's gathering client requirements, helping with configuring the solution, it's real work that's adding real value to our clients, which I think is really important. One thing we've learned with working with our apprentices is it's really important to feel you're adding value to the business. And sometimes it can feel you can feel quite vulnerable in that early day of joining a project where you don't feel that you're doing that, you're not adding value. I say to our apprentices, their job is to ask questions. That's that everyday job, is to ask questions and find the answers. So that's real business skills, real projects, real clients, real work experience. For those thinking about university, I think this is a really important aspect to consider, that within 3 years, if you do an apprenticeship, you've got 3 years really substantial work experience in the line of work that you're looking to proceed with in terms of your career. At university, you would necessarily probably have, a 0 contract hours job in a bar, probably, which has some transferable skills, but it's not really where you want your career to go. We also recognise that for our apprentices to be successful, we need to give them some support around personal development, and I'll talk a bit later about the way that we do that. So when I first joined the organisation back in 2018, I asked, what is it we want to do with this programme? My background is change management. I knew nothing about apprenticeships. I was still encouraging my 15-year-old to think about university. And when I canvassed the key stakeholders, so Eddie, who's the Director of Operations, and Mark Cotton, who's the practice lead for Dynamics, between them, they said, well, we want to grow successful, rounded professionals. So we spent some time exploring what that actually meant. And what I want to take you through is a highlight of the programme, and then help you to understand how we sort of dissected that successful, rounded professionals to create what I believe is a really, really successful programme. The professional element of that quote is around being credible in the tech industry and working with Digital Native to provide the technical training. We think we've got a massive tick there in terms of they provide the theory, they provide the support around the skills that you'll need to be a software tester, to be a data analyst, to be a business analyst, etc. And they have experienced coaches that work alongside our apprentices to help understand how they can then apply that knowledge to the work that they do. But looking at this year's programme, and I have to say each year we do look at improving this. So this is from a combination of the feedback that we've had from previous cohorts. So we're looking to start this year's cohort on the 6th of September, and we'll start with a 2-week onboarding programme. We were fortunate last year, we think we were just between lockdowns, so we were able to bring our apprentices into our offices. It was certainly different, it was socially distanced. We didn't have the team building events that we had the previous years, and obviously it's been quite a challenge this year, but we'll hear later whether we've managed to sell the Crimson sort of family culture to our apprentices. So after the 2 weeks, the apprentices will then head off to Digital Native. So their offices are in Birmingham, but obviously certainly central Birmingham. But obviously this year we've done a significant amount of remote learning. And of course, what's great is we've realised that there's a value in that too. So we're all looking at how we can embrace this new way of working to bring people into offices and face-to-face where we see a benefit in doing so, not just because that's the way we used to do it. So with Digital Native, it's a staggered weeks, 6 weeks, and if you're on the software tester apprenticeship, you would cover the 6 modules of the ISTQB, which is the International Software Testing Qualification Board. So you cover all the elements, all of the process knowledge to be a software tester. And indeed, last year and the previous years, our focus was to encourage that knowledge around software testing, because certainly if you come to the industry without any IT background, it's a really good introduction to the end-to-end life cycle for software. Some of our apprentices over the previous years have had no background in IT whatsoever, and we know that this is a successful way of introducing the topics. After those 6 weeks, we then will start them on a 4-day bespoke consultant training. This is in-house, we looked at, okay, what are the skills that we need to give an apprentice to enable them to feel comfortable joining client meetings. So we cover topics such as how to gather client requirements, how to play back the solution, how to deal with difficult clients, particularly when you might be in a meeting with a client, you've got two stakeholders that disagree with the approach, so it's really important that we understand how to deal with that. And then after those 4 days, that's when the apprentice will be assigned to live client projects. As I said, to start with, not accountable, but they'll increase in terms of the complexity of the tasks as the apprentices feel comfortable. So you might start just by note taking, which in itself is an important task for a Microsoft consultant to do, because that's about understanding the business problem faced by our client, and that's where we start. That's where we always start, to understand what the problem is and then how can we solve that using our solutions. After 6 months, our apprentices are 50% billable, and as I say, working alongside experienced consultants, the idea is they'll take on more and more of the tasks that they're able to. I'll talk about the Knowledge Academy shortly, but basically we spend half a day a month covering business skills and awareness sessions, and this is covering off the rounded professional. So how do we encourage individuals to be more rounded to increase their emotional intelligence? Well, that's the purpose of the Knowledge Academy. I hope this doesn't put you off. There are a few exams to evidence your technical competency. They're Microsoft exams. Those on the call, the apprentices on the call, have already experienced this so far, and they're still smiling, I think. Are you still smiling, guys? Yeah. It's not everyone's flavour. I like to think of exams as test of your knowledge rather than an examination. Exam seems to have a really scary feeling to it. We're a Microsoft Gold partner. We get used to doing exams. It's required for us to evidence our competence around the Microsoft stack. There's a huge amount of support to achieve these exams, so please don't be fearful. And in fact, that's one of the things we encourage, a growth mindset. I can't yet is one of my favourite sayings. And as I say, once you've passed the level 4 apprenticeship, you have an option to go on to do the degree. So as Martin suggested, the level 4 is equivalent to year 1 of the degree. So you're given credits towards the year 1. So you'd start at year 2 in February 2022, which means after a further 2 years, you would have a degree. It's a Bachelor of Science in Digital and Technology Solutions, and the pathway could be developer, consultant, or I can never remember the third one. Martin will jump in and remind me.
Data.
But data, that's it, of course. How could I forget data? But the idea is that where you feel, your interest lies, you can follow that pathway. So when we think about our end product of creating rounded, successful professionals, the rounded bit was the piece that is probably a little bit more difficult. The technical side is easy, digital native have built a program to support in gaining the technical knowledge and ability. But in terms of building out a rounded person, we identified that, in order to be successful nowadays, you can't just be an expert in isolation. You have to be able to articulate and share that knowledge with others. And for us, that's about having strong emotional intelligence. So how do you build strong emotional intelligence where maybe it's lacking in some people? Well, this is where the Knowledge Academy comes in. So what we've done is built a 10-month program which covers a whole variety of topics that we felt were important to give breadth of knowledge to an individual, particularly if you're thinking about a school leaver that's had very little or no work experience at all. But even I know some of my colleagues and some of the colleagues that have joined the organisation recently have made comments about, wow, I'd love to have this information as well. And it's something we're looking to roll out to the rest of the organisation. So things like understanding different personality types, recognising difference in others, diversity and inclusion. So understanding, when groupthink is in play, confirmation bias, selection bias. So and understanding and being able to tolerate differences between you, and actually understand the strengths that differences bring. We cover off mental health. Obviously, it's highly topical at the moment. We've all been challenged with the pandemic. For us, we cover a session around identifying symptoms of stress, understanding the difference between positive stress and negative stress, how to recognise symptoms of stress in yourself and others, then understanding what you can do to help yourself, and also what support is available within our organisation. We have a lot of support in the organisation with an advisory service, free counselling service for those that are struggling, whether it's related to work or whether it's related to something that's going on in your personal life, like, for example, homeschooling your children for nearly a year. Long story. We talk about growth mindset. So as I said, I'm very passionate about this. We've seen how this prevents some people. It's a blocker for some people in terms of believing that their intelligence is static. We really encourage people to understand that intelligence can be developed, and we do a lot of work around that. We cover off business change, so the importance of the human element of change, so taking people through the change curve and understanding the importance of, setting out a vision for where you want to get to, understand where you are, and then doing a gap analysis in between. We cover off time management. It's a very important topic, learning to prioritise your work and being able to manage multiple priorities at the same time. We also cover off financial awareness, so understanding the Crimson finance model. We cover off personal finance, and we also look at a bit of macroeconomics as well. And then finally, it's around personal development. So the apprentices will be asked to write a self-reflective report, taking into account all of the personality type questionnaires they've done, the assessments, the diversity topics, and really sort of opening up their heads and having a look inside and trying to really have an understanding of self. I believe a strong understanding of self enables you to be more successful in your career. It enables you to understand others and be a strong team player. And certainly Crimson is, lots of organisations talk about having a strong family feel. Crimson really does. We've grown quite quickly over the last 3 years. When I joined in 2019, there were 60 employees. We've now just hit 101 employees. That feel is still there. And interestingly, it's still there remotely, which is quite a challenge in itself. Martin alluded to our book list that we have. So we have a mandatory book list, and every other month we have what we call a book review call. So 2 of the apprentices will be tasked with presenting a 20-minute summary of the book, covering the key methodology and information covered, the topics covered, explaining their likes and dislikes of the book, and the important piece of any theory, which is the so what. What's important about this topic? How can we apply it to our day-to-day work? The rest of the organisation is also invited to those calls, so it serves a number of purposes, which is to broaden the knowledge of our apprentices. You wouldn't necessarily pick these up off the shelf. We've selected these books carefully to try and give a broad range of knowledge. It allows you to, when you engage with clients, maybe bring some of this information into conversations. Oh, I read a great book about this particular topic. It also gives you more credibility and confidence in your own knowledge. So we think this really, really works. And because the rest of the organisation is encouraged to join the call as well, it gives our apprentices the opportunity to present in a safe environment. And I think that's something we really do sort of emphasise. Is our academy is somewhere you can fail fast and learn from it. It's a safe environment to learn and grow. We encourage our apprentices to challenge each other, to always ask, even if you've done a fantastic job, what could I do better? What one thing could I improve? Because that encourages that growth mindset. So we focus on the individual with our apprenticeship. Now you'll know there are many apprenticeship programs that are almost like a cookie cutter program. They'll take sort of individuals in on one end of the production line, and you go through this production line, you're branded, and they want you to behave exactly the same at the end of it. Our view of our apprenticeship program is that we are looking for people with personality. We want to embrace individuality. We don't want to create, the similar shape all the way through the program. What we want to do is enhance what you've got. So we're not necessarily looking for technical experts, although we'll take those as well. What we're looking for is people that, have a personality, they can articulate a conversation, they have that emotional intelligence, although we can obviously build on it. We want people that are likable and personable. Should you proceed and come to interviews, don't stress too much about the way you say things. We want to see the real you, and it's always difficult with an interview, but we're really interested to get to know you as individuals, because that way we can ensure that there's going to be a good match. So in terms of the support that we provide, we know that regardless of whether you're a school leaver, whether you're a graduate, whether you're a career changer, that coming into our programme, in order for you to be successful, we need to give you some support. So we do that with allocating each of our apprentices a mentor, a buddy and a coach. So a mentor is a professional role model. They are either a practice lead or a senior consultant in our organisation, and they provide the on-the-job training, the expertise, client contact, and someone that our apprentices can go to, have a call with on a monthly basis and raise any issues that they've got, technical issues that I wouldn't be able to answer, and they can sort of press them for how would they approach a certain situation. Might have an issue with a project, how would you approach this? So that's the mentor. The buddy is a year 2 apprentice, so those apprentices on the course, so Sabrina, Lauren and Jack will be buddies for this year's cohort. I know they'll be thinking, gosh, how has that happened? It only seems like yesterday we joined, and it's obviously very exciting for them to move up to become a year 2. They will provide support around the course content. How do you pull together an evidence portfolio? If you haven't done an apprenticeship before, it's a different way of working, and there are some tips I'm sure they'll happily share with you. And a bit about the work versus study, the challenge around how do you balance it all. And then finally, we believe strongly in providing pastoral care, so with coaching. So Digital Native provide a coach, and their coaches are, technical experts in themselves. They've got a background, whether it's with data, whether it's as a BA, whether it's software testing, they've got that strong technical ability. So the Digital Native coach are able to help in terms of applying the theory into the real life. I provide coaching at Crimson, and the idea is a no hidden agenda headspace. So once a month we'll have a call, or in the good old days when we can meet face to face, we'd go for a walk around Birmingham Business Park. And the idea is just to have this no hidden agenda space to talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about, whether it's challenges you're facing, whether it's successes you want to talk about, whether it's, oh my God, my life at home is just so challenging, whatever it is. The idea is to release any blockers that might be facing the apprentice. We'll also talk about soft skills. So are there any specific soft skills that you want to develop, maybe presentation skills, or maybe you're lacking confidence in a certain area? So we'll discuss that with a view to planning how we can improve and develop the apprentices in those areas. So I've talked a lot. I need to a drink, so I must have been talking a lot. So what I thought was most important is for you to hear from some of our current apprentices. So I'm going to hand over now. As we've said already, we've got 3 from last year's cohort, 1 from the previous year's cohort, and they're just going to give you an insight into their experiences so far. So I think I'm handing over to Sabrina first. Thanks, Sabrina.
Thanks, Kat. Hi, everyone. So I'm Sabrina. I'm a 2020 apprentice doing the level 4 business analyst apprenticeship. So I'll just tell you a little bit about my background and my experience at Crimson so far. So before this, I actually did a degree in psychology, but I just felt like it was heavily conceptual and I didn't really fancy continuing in that field. But I gained so many skills that I knew would be beneficial in the IT industry. But sadly, when it came to looking for jobs, there were so many companies who were looking for people who had a computer science degree or some sort of experience in IT, which I didn't have. But then I came across Crimson and they were open to people from different backgrounds. So I took a leap of faith and I applied. And when I found out I was successful, if I'm honest, I was quite worried because I didn't have any technical knowledge or experience. But so far there have been no regrets. It's been an amazing opportunity. I learned something new every day, which is the most exciting part actually. And that's why I didn't mind coming into it with no technical knowledge, because just learning is quite fun for me. And everyone in the company is just so keen to share their knowledge and help where they can. So that's really positive. And not only have I developed my technical skills in IT, it's also my soft skills that Kat mentioned as well. Those have also been developed. So far, it's been a really positive experience. And if you've got any questions that you feel like asking and you don't want to ask them right now, I'll just drop my email address in the chat, and feel free to drop me an email and I'll happily answer your questions. And that's it from me. I'll pass over to Archie now.
Yep, so hi, I'm Archie. I've been working for Crimson for just over a year and a half. I started the level 4 software testing qualification last year, and I've progressed on to the second year of my degree. I work with a number of clients to provide dynamic systems from all the range from accountant firms to enterprise rent-a-car, and are currently working within the housing association vertical with Platform Housing Group. Some of my daily activities include automating the sending of emails and SMS messages, all the way to creating fields and dashboards and reports within the system for clients. So it's quite a broad range of experiences that I do day to day. And my experience at Crimson has been great. Everyone's friendly and he's always eager to help, which makes it easy to get grasp of new technology. And I've found within a short period on projects, I was always able to start helping and making a difference. And that's why I think it's really a no-brainer to join Crimson, because just the experience you get with clients is really valuable. And especially I've only 21 and I've had the experience with massive clients, and it's just really helpful to progress my self-development. So I think it's a really good opportunity you guys have, and I'm here for any questions if you've got any. Cheers. I'll pass over to Lauren. Cheers.
Hello everyone, I'm Lauren. I'm part of the 2020 cohort as well. So before Crimson, I was doing basic travel and tourism at college, and to be honest, I kind of just lost my passion for it, and it wasn't what I wanted to do anymore. So I was coming to the end of my college course, and I just didn't really know what I wanted to do, and it was quite scary because once you finish college, you need to kind of have in your head like an idea whether you want to go to uni or some idea of what you want to do, and I just didn't have any. And then Crimson come into my college and did like a presentation, and something just kind of clicked in my head, and it just kind of found a passion for something again. And that was nice because before that I'd kind of lost all passion for what I wanted to do. I literally had no idea what I wanted to do. I was working part-time in a bar, and when I was leaving college, that's kind of not the only plans I had, because obviously I had more aspirations than that, but at that period in time, that's all that I was doing, because I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I didn't want to rush into a uni course, paying all that money when it wasn't really anything that I wanted to do. So I haven't really got a tech background at all. I did do IT and computer science in school, and I did pretty well in both of them, but I just never really went on to do it because I wanted to do travel and tourism. So then when Crimson come in, as I said, I kind of found a passion for something, and I just thought, what's the harm in applying for it? And a year later, here I am. I was in your position last year, literally, I remember this exact presentation, and this is me now. Sorry. But honestly, Crimson, I haven't been told to say this in any way, shape or form, but I couldn't ask for a better company to work for. The family feel within it is such a massive part of it. You can they care about each and every employee, and it's whether it's it's just amazing. It is an amazing company to work for. They send out gifts for random occasions. We have meetups virtually, and it's just such a nice company to work for, and I couldn't ask for a better company. I'm learning and I'm employed, and yeah, so that's my take on it all. And if you have got any questions, then I'll drop my email below as well. Oh, and I'll pass it over to Jack as well.
Thanks, Lauren. Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Jack. I'm also a level 4 software tester for the 2020 cohort. As it says there, I did A-level maths, IT and physics. I sort of knew that I wanted to go into the IT background, but I was a bit on the fence about going to uni or doing an apprenticeship. I was getting quite close to, actually submitting in the uni applications, and I still wasn't too sure. And then Crimson came into our school in late February, early March, and did the same the same presentation they did for Lauren. And honestly, I just sort of felt at home with them. With Kat doing the presentation, the apprentices, I felt quite safe. It was a safe environment. You know, they were very honest, very open, and I could say the same has been translated through to the actual apprentice course. It's a safe learning environment. I can say for a fact I don't like answering questions or asking them. I get quite nervous, but I felt safe and secure to ask these questions. You know, at Crimson, nothing's a silly question, and it's best that you actually ask them rather than just being quiet. At the moment, I'm currently working in the housing association vertical for Platform Housing Group, doing a bit of DevOps work. That's fun. I enjoy that. But yeah, honestly, as Lauren said, I'm going to reiterate, Crimson's a great company, and yeah, it's just a privilege working here. Thank you. Oh, and yeah, about emails, I will put mine down there as well. So if you have any questions.
So I'll just take you through sort of the different sort of things that you'll be doing as a junior Dynamics consultant. So from the beginning, you'll be participating in customer workshops. That could be from simply observing, which you'll be doing at the beginning, to note taking, and then eventually you might be running or supporting the customer workshops, which is really exciting. You might also be involved in designing the solution and actually developing the solution using Dynamics. So that's really cool if you're interested in configuration work. And as I mentioned before, you'll be learning something new every day. And also Crimson provides such a safe environment for you to feel comfortable in offering any new ideas that you have. So that's really cool. And you'll be doing a lot of testing, especially if you're doing the software testing apprenticeship. And also if you're doing the business analyst apprenticeship, I've done some testing already. And you'll also have lots of customer interactions. Normally, in the mornings, there's a daily stand-up. So you'll just be discussing what you did yesterday, what your plans are for the day, and if you've got any blockers. So that's every morning. You'll also have obviously lots of emails and just general calls throughout the week.
So this slide here will give you a bit of an insight of what we actually do at Crimson. And for me, last year when I was in the watching this presentation, this kind of pulled it all together for me, as I said to Kat the other day. So here is the case in a client that's a fleet management company, and I don't know his name, but he'd walk around the car park writing down all the number plates, and then he'd have to go back to his computer in the office and put it in and just see if the cars were still there, basically. And that was his way of updating his system. So Crimson quickly come up with a quicker solution for this, and we showed them that it can be done much quicker, literally with an iPhone app. So the iPhone app was presented to them literally within 25 minutes, just as a concept, it was just an overview of it. It wasn't the full finished product, but it just showed them how it would basically work. So you take a photo of it and that automatically sends it back to the computer and updates it, so the job became a lot quicker. So we proved from that little just taking one photo and it becoming a technical thing rather than having to write it down on pen and paper, how much quickly and time, I can't think of the word, but it worked a lot quicker basically. So this is the solution that we come up with for them, and within this you've got character recognition, location using GPS, dates are checked, everything, all the data is synced back to the office system, and it's updated a lot quicker, so he no longer had to do that long process. So this is just kind of some of the things that we do as consultants. We build things like this for all different types of companies, whether it be housing associations, higher education, anything. It is adapted for different things, but this is to do with cars, obviously. So yeah, that's a bit of an insight into some of the systems that we build.
Thanks, Lauren. It's important to note that the apprentice that supported the lead consultant on this had only had a few hours working on the solution. was able to do this. So that just gives you a real insight into the tech we're using. And we are sort of working with, because we're a Microsoft Gold partner, we get to play with tech that's sort of leading edge. So that's quite exciting as well. So when I joined 3 years ago, some of the apprentices were playing with sort of cognitive services type stuff, you know, face recognition and you know, some really exciting software that could you know, understand what the image was in front of the you know, in the camera. So it's a really exciting place to be. Of course, we know that exists now, but you know, 3 years ago it was still sort of leading edge. So in terms of the selection process, we've got obviously the open information event today. We're recording it, so we'll share that on social media and on our website. If you would like to proceed with an application to join the academy, so there's one route which is via the government website, which we've sent links out for. It's also a great place to look for other apprenticeships as well. So if you're interested, if you're not successful with us and still interested, there's a number available there. Stage 2 will be a telephone call, so Digital Native will be undertaking those telephone calls, and that's really to sort of just have an initial chat, understand what your interests are, your skills, your abilities, and also to answer any questions that you might have about us, because we recognise this is about finding, you know, a good match between, you know, what you're looking for, the skills that you've got, and what we can provide you with in terms of your future development. You'll also be asked to complete an exercise which will help assess which particular apprenticeship route might suit you, so whether it's software testing, data, developer, or business analyst. Stage 3 will be a video interview. If you haven't done these already, they can be slightly nerve-wracking, but please don't be. So you'll be invited to participate in a video interview via a link. So we'll send you a link and you'll record your answers to 3 or 4 specific questions. There'll be an opportunity to re-record if you'd like to. Now, having been through this process myself with other organisations, we've limited how many retakes you can do, because I sort of very much believe that, you know, have 1 retake, don't have 6, because if you record something 6 times, each time you'll want to do better, and it's just a vicious loop. Remember, we're not looking for perfection. We're absolutely not looking for that. We're looking for people with sort of the right attitude, the right mindset, and interest to use tech to solve business problems. And then there'll be an interview in June. Perhaps it will even be face-to-face. If not, it'll be via Teams. It'll last approximately 45 minutes, and you'll be asked to prepare a short presentation, which is normally just something about an insight into you. You know, a bit of your background. What do you like? What challenges might you find? Might think you'll be presented with on the academy, etc. It may also involve taking part in a group exercise. That depends obviously on where we are with the sort of COVID situation. And the aim of that stage is to ensure we find individuals that are able to work effectively within a team. Don't panic. Again, the aim of the stage is to get to know you better and ensure you're a good fit with the culture and the values of Crimson, and vice versa, that we meet the needs that you've got for your career. Obviously, if social distancing rules are in place, then we'll do this all remotely via Teams. Offers are likely to be made in July, and with a start date of 6th of September. Okay. So that's really the end of our presentation. Really keen to open up for questions now. Obviously, it's always a bit scary asking questions on open forum. You can use the chat, as Emily's suggested, or you can email any of the apprentices afterwards. Who'll be happy to answer your queries for you. So has anyone got any questions?
You've got a hand up, Kat.
Ah, okay. Who's got their hand up?
I think Elar Catherine.
Hello, you alright?
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, you alright? I've just got a quick question. Are you guys open to taking on previous level 3 apprentices that want to move on to the level 4 route?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Well done for being brave and being the first to ask a question, by the way.
Yeah, that's how we want it.
You've got another hand up, Kat, from James Wilcox.
James.
Hi. Hello. Hang on. Hello.
Hi, James. Yeah, we can hear you.
Hi, I just wanted to ask, how many apprenticeships are you thinking of handing out this year?
Okay, well, it's definitely a minimum of 5. Every year we sort of set a budget, and every year we find more of the ideal candidates. So minimum of 5. We don't have a top level in terms of, cut off. It will be really, if we find the right candidates, we'll be looking to make offers.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Tom.
Hi guys.
Hi.
I just have a quick question in regards to previous apprentices. I have worked in retail for going on 12 years now, so specifically in sales. I was just wondering if you'd had anybody with my sort of background that's made this jump, because it's quite a big difference. And how they've been, have they been successful? Has it worked out for them?
Great question, Tom. I mean, last year we had quite a few grads join us. There were 6 grads, which may have been in terms of the way we were marketing the apprenticeship, because I truly believe that the apprenticeship is there about, it's arguably people think of an apprenticeship for school leavers. I think it's a vehicle for upskilling people with, automation. It allows people to sort of upskill to a more complex task. So I'm just thinking back. So one of our early apprentices, he actually did a sales apprenticeship. I don't know what his background was before then, but certainly, because we are an organisation that's growing, we have opportunities across the business, and that includes in sales, in pre-sales, so consulting. So I think, ultimately we're a consulting business, which is about understanding, the client problems and then transitioning that to a solution. So I think a sales background will always be of benefit to you, particularly if it's a solution selling rather than product selling.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Could I just come in there, Kat?
Sure.
Hi, Tom. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I think one of the things to think of is you've met 4 apprentices today. I remember their initial telephone interviews and their initial face-to-face or video interviews. What hopefully you've got is they are 4 very different people.
Yeah.
And as you heard from them, they existed on a tech spectrum from one end to the other.
Yeah.
So Crimson have some apprentices that are very much tech focused, have spent a lot of time learning to code or getting involved in other technical things. As you heard from Sabrina, very honestly, I'm a really bright young woman, and I see myself working in tech. I think one of the things that's really important when you're looking at your application is not to see just because tech hasn't come into your life previously that's a barrier. Think about the strengths that you bring from your previous career.
Yeah.
And also, as you're working through the process, Google's your friend.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I get that.
if we look at those initial telephone interviews within the job descriptions that Crimson have listed, there are certain technologies that are listed there, like Microsoft Dynamics. There's probably something about Microsoft Azure, which is Microsoft's cloud solution. 10 minutes Googling and you'll get through the interview. What we're looking for is, are you genuinely passionate about moving into this area? And also, do you understand what you're getting yourself into? Yeah. So again, don't see it as barriers. Do a little bit of prep, a little bit of Googling, start to think. The other thing I'd say to all the applicants is just make certain that you're looking at tech news feeds. We might talk to you about, what's the most, if you're telling us, Tom, you want to move into a tech career, well, what excites you about tech? What have you read or heard about recently that you thought was really cool or exciting? So honestly, Tom, there are no barriers, and each of the Crimson apprentices are very, very different people. There isn't an ideal candidate that fits the box.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
And actually, thanks, Martin. There's a huge amount of transferable skills you can bring from, your previous roles. So I see that as an opportunity, to bring that to Crimson rather than it's a challenge.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom. I see there's 2 hands up, but I think perhaps we've already answered those questions. Is there anyone who's still got a question? No, I don't think so. Okay, well, do feel free to reach out to any of the apprentices or go onto the website. There's a huge amount of information on the website. Emily's done a fantastic job of updating it all. So hopefully there's lots of, pretty much all of the frequently asked questions are on there. But obviously we'll add any more if we see there's a gap there. So thank you very much for joining this morning.
I think Richard's just asked a question, Kat.
Okay, Richard.
Hello?
Good afternoon, Richard. Did you have a question for us?
Yes, I am from Ghana, and then my boss applied for the program today for me. So I wanted to know if I stand a chance of applying for the apprenticeship as well.
Of course. I mean, in terms of the selection process, as you know, the first stage is a telephone interview. So that will be the first sort of selection process. So if you're interested to apply, there's no barrier. So you can apply via the government website. Martin, do we have any rules around nationality, rights to work, etc.?
There are some rules that are around citizenship and rights to work and status. What I'd probably suggest, Richard, if you can email me, and my email address is in the slide deck, but it's martin@dn-uk.com. I'm happy to work through and just confirm your eligibility there. It's probably best done offline, Richard.
Thanks, Martin.
Okay, but I'll be glad if you write it in the comment section so that I would send you the email.
Thanks, Richard.
Thank you. Any more questions?
I've got one, Kat. It's just me being curious.
You're not allowed any, Emily.
You can't join the academy, Emily.
But I just wondered if any of the apprentices would like to answer. What have they struggled with, if anything, during the scheme? You know, what's their biggest challenge so far?
Great question.
I'll go first then. So yeah, so I think my biggest challenge is probably just the balance between working and working on live projects. Like now I've started the degree, I'm doing like 3 modules which all have essay hand-ins. I've got to manage doing them, and I've got clients messaging me about like problems that come up or like bugs I need to fix. And I think the balance between working and studying is good, but it's good because we've got 1 day a week study time, so that helps out a lot. But I think that's the balancing act you kind of have to do as being an apprentice, the balance between getting all the work done and also staying up to date with the studying. So yeah, I think that's my answer. Cheers.
I'll go next if you want. Well, thankfully I haven't got Archie's problems yet, but I'd say my biggest, like, what's the word again? My biggest challenge so far was probably myself, like the way I think about things, and definitely like the mindset you're in definitely affects like how you are. Like if you have a mindset of like I can't do it and I'll never be like, say like someone that's like a year up from me, like say Megan for example, she shows me how to do things, so I'm like, oh my god, like how do you even know how to do that? But then she's got a year's extra experience than me. Like I could sit there and say I'll never be able to do that, but it's just a learning process. So my biggest challenge has definitely been myself and my own mindset. Thank you. Thank you both. Sabrina?
I've got a challenge as well. My biggest challenge is probably around working remotely. I think because we joined the company during COVID, we haven't had the opportunity to meet the whole company. So it's just that challenge around building those organic relationships that you'd probably normally build walking to the kitchen or just walking past someone's desk. We haven't really had the opportunity to do that. So that's been a bit of a struggle, but obviously we've got the Crimson events like the one we've got tonight, and the Crimson Cuppa that Emily's set up as well. So that's helped a little bit, but that was probably my biggest challenge.
Thank you. Very interesting. I love how they're all different
between the three of you. So yes, anyone else got any questions? No? Right, so I mean, as we said, this is going to be, well, this is recorded, and it will be put on YouTube probably by this afternoon, and I will send you all a link to it, just in case you want to watch it again or send it on. The links to the apprenticeships are also in the chat as well, so you can apply directly now if you're interested, or save them for later. So as we said, if anyone's got any more questions, email addresses are all available, or you can contact us through the website or through the live chat on there. So however you want to contact us, you've got some choice. So right, we're done then if no one's got any more questions. So thank you all for coming along. Hope it was helpful. Thank you to our apprentices as well for joining in. So yes, thank you all.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks, everyone.
Definitely.
You
Thank
too.
you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks all.
Bye.
Thank you. Cheers.
Bye.